this episode of the Ritzy Travel Guide, we're putting the world's top premium cruise lines head to head. 5 ships, 5 cruise lines to find one winner. Which one has the nicest atmosphere aboard? Who has the best pools and decks? The clever design? Who has the entertainment that really wows and impresses? We'll rank all the restaurants, checking for the culinary highs and lows and everything in between. We'll check for cabin comfort and innovation. We're stripping away the marketing and comparing what actually matters. We've sailed them all, tested them all, and now we're ranking them. You're watching the Ritzy Travel Guide. Welcome back to the Ritzy Travel Guide. My name is Bill, and it's great to have you along with us. Over the past 18 months, we've sailed every flagship across the world's biggest premium cruise lines. And in this video, we're putting them all to the test. From celebrity, we have the Ascent, and we'll also be cross-referencing to their brand new Xcel. From Cunard, we have the Queen Anne, and from Virgin Voyages, Resilient Lady. From Princess, their brand new flagship, the Star, and finally, from Holland America, the Rotterdam. So all of the ships that we are covering were the flagship for the respective cruise lines at the time we filmed them. So everything we're looking at is their latest and supposedly best examples of the ships in their respective fleets. So what will we be scoring on? What are we looking out for? Well, across 6 important categories, and it's essential they get these all right. To begin with, we'll talk about first impressions, how each ship looks and feels, how premium actually are they. Secondly, we'll be rating and scoring for their pools and decks. Have they done a good job with these? Just as important is entertainment. We'll look at that because nobody wants to get bored out at sea. And dining, that's a very important one. We'll look at the choices and rate them for how good they are. And the cabins, has each cruise line done a commendable or poor job? And there are big differences here. And then finally, we'll give our overall verdict and score and the one we would choose. And most important of all, who would each ship and each line best suit? As ever, we'll be as scrupulously fair and honest as we can. Nobody has told us what to say. Let's kick off proceedings with first impressions. Let's start with the Celebrity Ascent. This is part of their Edge class of ships. And first impressions, no matter which ship, matter, because the moment you step on board, you immediately feel its vibe. And visually, these Edge class ships are probably the most striking of the lot. They're open, modern, and feel designed, not just built. It's a very strong first impression. You're immediately hit with the Grand Plaza. It's the beating heart of the ship. It's got that massive sparkling light over the martini bar. With open, airy floors, it does feel a little bit like a high-end boutique hotel in London or New York. It's modern, it's buzzy, and it tells you right away this will be a ship for people who like design. Of all the ships we're covering today, most are bowled over with the interior design of these Edge class. So our first impression of the celebrity ships, high-octane glamour. Right, what about Virgin? Here we have the Resilient Lady. This is what you might call the wild card. It's got modern, multicoloured interiors, sort of playful design. It's a very different energy from traditional cruise ships. The spaces are quite quirky, and on occasion, quite adult. Such as here, a quick peep at entertainment. We'll circle back to this one. You'll see exactly what I mean by quirky. From the lounges to the main public areas, it's designed to feel modern and quite unexpected. What are our first impressions of Virgin? It's the only one we're covering today that doesn't feel quite like a cruise ship when you first board. Now on to Star Princess and their flagship. And they too show quite the departure from their more normal, staid type of ship. Some of their older ones are far more conservative. Interiors here are very much more modern, open plan, also a little bit glitzy. Their normal cruise classic look has been given the elbow. It's all gone and replaced by high-tech and lots of LED screens and effects. This is the new Princess on steroids, and it is a much larger ship than they normally bring out. The lounges and public areas are across multi-levels now, all congregating around the centre. and there is this huge sphere, giving the class its name. It looks a little bit like a goldfish bowl. First impressions? Well, traditional Princess fans might be up in arms. New Princess might be saying, this is a bit of a bold departure. Anyway, it's quite the different ship from Princess. So, let's now take a look at Holland America and Rotterdam. Also, their current flagship. Interiors here are quite surprising because the ship hovers between two styles. It's part classic, but also part modern art. At first instance, you totally recognise the traditional look and feel, and the grand sweeping centre of the ship, with swooping chandeliers and curvy lines. You then go round the corner, and you meet a modern central atrium with a helix installation. The ship holds quite a few surprises. But space is not compromised. This is important. With just 2,600 passengers, it never feels crowded. Public areas and lounges are nicely laid out, giving a sense of order and refinement. First impressions of Holland America are subtle and refined. Now, what about the Cunard Queen Anne? If you've ever been on a Cunard ship before, you'll notice this ship is quite the departure. If you're used to the dark woods of Queen Mary II, the Queen Anne will surprise you. Yes, it's still elegant, it's refined, but with a glossier, let's say more contemporary, glitzy twist. It's like the brief went out to the designers, keep the Cunard heritage, but make it just a little bit more shiny. When you step into the grand lobby, you immediately sense the back catalogue, the history, but it's been updated for today. And the Queen's room is here, but reimagined. Likewise, the Britannia dining room. There's lots more brushed metal, and it looks contemporary. Cunard is one of the most traditional cruise lines still out there. If you want to feel like you're back in the golden age of cruising and liners, you'll love it. So the first impressions of Cunard and the Queen Anne, it's elegant, but changed. Okay, let's take our first look of this video at the scoreboard. Remember, this is marking for initial impressions when you get aboard the ship. Now, out of all the categories in this video, this is probably the hardest to be objective because first impressions and taste and design are inherently subjective. This is how we've scored it. Here we go, and the first round we're just giving it to celebrity, but it's all very level pegging. Trust me, this will be the only scoreboard we see this video where they are so evenly matched. Over coming chapters, the scores are going to be all over the place, as each ship does have some weaknesses, and we'll show those to you. But for this round, Celebrity just takes it because these Edge-class ships have no obvious weak link in their look, in their feel, and their layout is excellent. These are really well-designed ships. All the other four ships in this first round have their own design uniqueness. So we will come back to this scoreboard throughout the video as we go through the various sections, but trust me, later on, these scores are going to vary quite a lot. Right, let's now go and take a look at the pools and decks. Now, this is where a lot of the fun and sun happens. This one is all about space. Which ones can you better enjoy without feeling crowded? Let's go and look at them all one by one. First of all, Celebrity and their Ascent, and with all the Edge class, their decks are sleek. They're very modern, if you like that sort of thing, and they are spacious. We do think these ships are some of the sleekest at sea. The centerpiece is the main resort pool. It's one of the largest you'll find on any ship of this class and does feel spacious. You've got those elevated hot tubs shaped like a giant martini glass. They offer a good perspective, plus you have several of these infinity-style jacuzzis almost hanging over the side with incredible ocean views. Plus you've got the magic carpet, that bar. This is unique, there's no other cruise line which has this facility. It might look ugly, but it's quite fun in person. Now, and this is important, they have an adults-only indoor solarium on these Edge class, with its own pool and hot tubs. This is necessary because it covers the shoulder season where cruising temperatures can go down. It keeps you warm. And what they have here, this section is well designed. Overall, we feel the pool and deck experience with the Ascent is good. Let's switch over to the Cunard Queen Anne, and the main pool is called the Pavilion. It's the center of the ship. It has a retractable roof, making this a true 365-day-a-year space, no matter the weather. But the overall vibe here is quite retro. We quite like the theming. Plenty of space relaxing across multiple levels around the pool area. And at night, it's also very photogenic. Now, there's also another outdoor pool at the aft of the ship. Shout out here to Cunard for the huge variety of relaxation areas and sunbathing areas on various tiers and levels around the deck area here. In general, we feel Queen Anne has done well with the pools, though criticism, there aren't that many hot tubs, and what there are quite small. It's not always easy to snag yourself a space in these. They should have more. Overall impression though, good. On to the Star Princess, and once again, we're looking at a dual pool facility. The main resort pool area is huge. Think of it almost like two pools in one. It's well equipped and feels a little bit like a Mediterranean hotel. But the real showstopper is right at the front. Here's the dome. If you've ever been to the Eden project in the west of England, this architecture will look very familiar. It's quite the architectural statement, both outside and in. And when we first stepped inside, the visual impact was incredible. The seating is tiered, it's super comfortable, and it feels like you're, well, in a sanctuary. You have a small pool both outside the dome at the front and then another one inside. Now, here is a tip. Several times during the cruise, they transform this space into candlelight performances. It's easily one of the most romantic occasions you can experience on any ship at sea. It really is enchanting. The candles flicker, and it's as romantic as it can get. Beware though, it doesn't seat many. You will need to get there early. Our verdict on the Star Princess, it's a bold architectural win that does bring a touch of magic to the deck. Let's sashay across to Virgin. Now, remember, all four of their ships are almost identical. This is the footage we took from Resilient Lady. The main pool area is here. It's called the Aquatic Club. What do we think, honestly? Well, it might look pretty, especially at night with all the lights, but the reality is this. It's polarizing at best and disappointing at worst. Why? Well, because the pool is seriously small. At various times of the day, you might even struggle to get in. It's designed more for wading with a cocktail in hand. Why they made this pool so small, I have no idea. Just around the corner is another water feature, but in reality, that's just a jacuzzi, and the kicker is most often it's not even heated. So on occasion, you'll be shivering. Now, you might ask, does an indoor pool come to the rescue? Nope, because they haven't got one. And to us, this is a huge oversight. It severely restricts where Virgin can comfortably send their ships. If you book a shoulder or a cold season cruise with them, good luck. They have no indoor pool, and their latest ship, Brilliant Lady, is going to Alaska. Now, Alaska is many things, but consistently hot is not one of them. You tell me if this pool situation becomes a deal breaker for you. I'm genuinely surprised Virgin has not thought this one through. Not the case with Holland America and the Rotterdam, because they clearly know their weather requirements. Their Lido pool midships features also a big retractable glass roof, just like Cunard, making it a true all-weather space. It doesn't matter if you're in the Caribbean or in the fjords of Norway, you can always enjoy this space. We think the design looks rather good. From above, it all looks very classy. It's got a 5-star resort vibe to it. Well done, Holland America. They also have an outdoor pool at the aft with plenty of seating. Now, in case you're thinking, hang on a minute, doesn't this look remarkably similar to the aft pool at the Cunard Queen Anne? Well, it does. I'll tell you why. Because both of these are Pinnacle class ships. Because Carnival Group owns both lines, Holland America and Cunard, they do share a common construction of these Pinnacle ships. They're constructed from the same shell. The layout of the two is very similar. Yes, interior design is unique to both, but the layout in general is similar. Okay, let's bring back that scoreboard, see how we're rating the pools and decks for each ship. Celebrity Ascent at the top. They have covered all the bases with both indoor and outdoor well-designed spaces. They don't really have a weak link in this department. Cunard, Princess and Holland all score the same for being well-rounded with their offering. Though quick mention about the Dome on Star Princess and indeed its sister, the Sun Princess. It does look stunning, it's beautiful, but the pools are rather petite. The total laggard is Virgin. None of their 4 ships have a solarium or an indoor pool, and the only pool they do have is pretty much half-sized at best. However, we do give them credit for the decks in general because they are good. Lots of variety, plenty of different seating types. This does help considerably. And if it's your style, the pool parties on Virgin are quite the buzz. I'll come on to those parties in just a little bit. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, please do give it a like, give it a thumbs up, as it lets us know we're on the right track, and we'll try to put out more of this type of material. And this unpredictability in scoring is about to ramp up even more as we look at the next 2 categories, dining and entertainment. And there are some big differences with the ships on this. Let's start off, first of all, with entertainment. Some of these ships put on proper high-quality productions, and others take on a very different approach altogether. Starting with Celebrity Ascent, at the whole Edge class, this is polished, high-production entertainment. They have big theatre shows, strong vocals, and slick choreography. It does all feel quite professional. You've got 3 performance venues across the ship. Everything is high-octane. The theatre is full of high-tech gadgetry, sound and lighting. The stage goes up and down. Everything is like a slick Broadway production. Add in live music across the ship, and it is a well-rounded offering. Of course, you've got the famous Martini Bar in the central atrium, which frankly is a show in itself. Bartenders performing, crowds gathering. To our mind, Celebrity has some of the best, if not the best, entertainment at sea. Not just in this, the premium cruise sector, but full stop. Right, here we go with Virgin. Deep breath. This is anything but traditional entertainment. The cruise line with the most raunchy, daring and sexy entertainment we've ever come across at sea. There are risque nightclubs and cabaret shows. They say they're offering fun, and then some. And I would wager at least half of the people who book a cruise with Virgin only book it for this one night, this one event. So what is it, and what's the big fuss about? Well, it's Virgin's extravaganza event, their big bash, where you're supposed to leave all your inhibitions at the door and go hell for leather. It's their equivalent of the White Night that other cruise lines put on, but more wild. More booze, and you have Virgin's full permission to chuck yourself in the pool at any time, in any state of dress or undress. Here we go through the Versailles Hall of Mirrors. Just about every corner is themed for the Scarlet Night. If your tongue is prone to wagging, it's going to now. If you're a shy, retiring person, this possibly isn't the place to be. But if you've got sparkling boots, neon hot pants, or any sort of raunchy wardrobe, you'll probably never get another chance like this, at least not on a cruise ship. For a lot of people out there, you would either love Scarlet Night or absolutely hate it. There is no middle ground. It's edgy, and yes, in places, it's quite adult. Some might even say risque. In fact, for our thumbnail from our first review of Virgin, we even used exactly that phrase, how risque is it? You'll find everything from drag acts to suggestive comedy, Cirque du Soleil style performances with high energy dances. None of the other cruise ships in this category do anything like Virgin. Next up, Holland America, and their entertainment might come as a bit of a surprise. Many might think Holland America will go all sleepy on this. Well, actually, their entertainment packs quite the punch, thanks to the section of the ship called the Music Walk. This isn't about big, flashy theatrical productions, this is about live music. And across the ship you've got multiple venues, bands, solo artists, proper musicians playing every night. Music Walk is actually 3 interconnecting venues in one. First up, you've got BB King's. It's perhaps the most impressive venue on the ship. We really enjoyed this venue. Then next door, you have dueling pianos. This is a really social setting with bar stools all around. And then across, you have the Rolling Stones Lounge. This is all much more happening than you might have expected from Holland America. If you enjoy live music, this ship does deliver night after night. Their theatrical offering, yes, is a bit more limited. It's less showy than Celebrity, but the venue is good, it's nice and technically solid. If you're looking for live music, arguably Holland America is the strongest in this group. Now let's take a look at Princess. And with the Star, the entertainment offering is fairly well-rounded. The theatre itself is modern, it's in the round, and during our cruise there were some genuinely strong acts. From powerful soul performances, beautifully lit up at night, to more creative shows, live art and visual acts, and a stonking pianist. It is a good venue and it works well. Theatre's not bad. One night it felt we were on a pyrotechnic stage from Vegas. Near singed the eyebrows right off the front row. I jest, but it did keep their attention. Now, if there is one bone of contention I have seriously for these new Sphere class ships with Princess, it's that central atrium. You either love it or hate it, and in both our reviews of this ship, I focused heavily on this because I feel it is important. It's become a multi-purpose entertainment venue. It's totally in the round, it's got the latest wizardry, that's all well and good, but because it's in the open and has some of the nicest bars in the ship, the double-edged sword is that this area can become incredibly loud, incredibly noisy, and quite distracting. Some evenings we sat there trying to feel relaxed, enjoying a nice drink and a chat, but the music or activities down there in the atrium could totally drown out proceedings. It can be very overpowering. Not all the time, but enough for you to notice. And this is the trade-off with open-plan ships like this. Other ships in this comparison we're showing you today section off their entertainment areas more efficiently. You don't drown out all of the ship all at once. Now, I've got something else to say about Star Princess later in the video that did impact our cruise quite considerably. That's coming up. Before we get to that scoreboard for entertainment, let's take a look at what Cunard has to offer. Queen Anne, as you might expect, takes a very different approach to the others. Their entertainment is focused on elegance and tradition. Think jazz bands, classical music, formal concerts, ballroom dancing, plus enrichment talks and guest speakers. The theatre itself is understated, nothing flashy, nothing high-tech, but looks nice. The star attraction is, of course, still the Queen's Room. This is the icon of any Cunard ship. Most nights, particularly on the twice-weekly gala night, you have ballroom dancing and a full band. This is Cunard personified. Throughout the week, you do get other forms of entertainment. Interestingly, Queen Anne also has the fleet's only alternative entertainment venue. That's called the Bright Light Society. Here we go. This we are a big fan of. It's quite fun. It's an intimate venue putting on 3 different forms of entertainment shows throughout the cruise. It's all a bit daft. There's a sing-along and everyone joins in. Now, these 3 shows used to be complimentary, included in the fare, but they have started introducing a fee. Overall, Cunard remains the most traditional entertainment offering in this group. Its gala evenings are showstoppers. The chandeliers sparkle, they have themed evenings, sometimes a masquerade or a Charleston or a black and white, giving guests a reason to dress up and celebrate, and avid Cunarders live for these evenings. Right, let's rank and score the various entertainment offerings. It's fairly even. Almost everybody gets the same score. It's a very close run thing. Now, entertainment, I know, is totally personal, so we've tried to bring out the attributes of each cruise line. As ever, please do leave your comments, what you think, down in the comments box below. It's lovely to hear from people, and I know we all have different opinions. Perhaps you disagree with us vehemently, perhaps you think we've missed something out. Either way, please do leave your comments in the box below. It's fantastic to hear from you, and also gives other people watching this a different perspective from what we're offering. By the way, Ritzy Travel Guide is on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to know what we're up to in real time, you can follow us around the world on both of these. You'll see what we're trying out, the countries we visit, and behind the scenes. The channel name is the same as here, Ritzy Travel Guide for Instagram and Ritzy Travel Guide 1 for Facebook. And I'll also put the address down in the description box for this video. So follow along with us on Facebook and Instagram, and we'll see you in those. Still to come in this video, several really key and important categories, such as cabins. We'll go through all of what they have to offer, and the general vibe aboard the ships. Who is best suited to which cruise line? That's still to come. Now we move on to one of the most important aspects of any cruise, dining. The differences again between these various ships are quite significant. Let's go look at them one by one. Let's start with Celebrity, and this is a tale of two halves. First, let's look at the included dining, what comes with your cruise fare. Almost uniquely, the Edge class ships, and here on the Ascent, they have 4 main dining rooms. No other cruise line does that. Each dining room has its own style and cuisine. You have Normandy, which is French. You have Cyprus, which is Mediterranean, particularly Greek and Cypriot. You have Cosmopolitan, which has international fare, and Tuscan, which is Italian. Now, all 4 of these are beautifully designed, look very pretty, and the quality is consistently strong.
Also very tender.
By most cruise standards, Celebrity's cuisine is a real highlight. There are very few complaints. Celebrity is well known in the industry as being good for foodies.
Thick, gooey, sticky cheese.
And that continues into the buffet as well. We genuinely think the Edge class of ships have some of the best buffets at sea. Not obviously ultra luxury level buffet, but I tell you what, it's not far off.
I have never seen a buffet on board as good as that.
Casual options also are strong here. Cafe Al Baccio is always popular with cruisers. It's great for light bites. It has a brilliant location and setup. So far, so good. The included options in your cruise fare, very strong. Now, why did I say just now it's a tale of two halves? Well, the part that I think is a little bit disappointing, I'll tell you why, is the speciality restaurants. There's several on the ship. Why do I say disappointing? Well, because they're seriously expensive. Yes, the choice is astonishing. You've got Le Petit Chef with its interactive little show that beams onto the table. You've got Fine Cut Steakhouse, that's beautifully decorated. Great food. You've got the Eden restaurant right at the back. This has been slightly changed in the new Xcel ship, but the facility is still there. You've got Daniel Boulud's concept restaurant, all beautifully done, but they charge a very high price to go in them. It could be anything from $70 up to $125 per person per venue, depending on the ship and the time of the year. And very expensive compared to the other cruise ships in this group, and the prices continue to go up. I'll show you my score for the dining on Celebrity in just a moment, but the cost of their speciality is going to affect it. Now, let's pivot to Virgin Voyages. And this couldn't be more different, because Virgin is much more all-inclusive with their philosophy on dining. And in a bold move, they have no main dining room. No, they haven't got one. Instead, they have 6 full-service restaurants that are all included in the price. They have a steakhouse, an Italian, a Mexican, a plant-based called Razzle Dazzle, a Korean, and that's unusual for a cruise ship, and a highly unusual one, laboratory-looking venue is called Test Kitchen. Really very unique, serves up fanciful offerings. Now, all of their outlets aboard are beautifully designed. The menus are all a la carte, and the overall tone is playful yet upmarket. They also have their own version of a buffet. It's not really a buffet, it's a series of food halls. It's called the Galley. They also have some other fast food outlets. I have to say, around the ship, we found the quality on Virgin Voyages to be extremely good. It's one of their real highlights, their success stories. Everything is presented very nicely, it's all upscale, it's impressive. It's a strong suit for Virgin. But as with everything in life, nothing's perfect. There is a slight problem with Virgin dining. I'll come back to that in just a moment with a general summary. Right, let's now go and take a look at Star Princess. And this is where they've always done well.
Caught red-handed.
Princess are solid, dependable, and they have easy to understand dining. On the Star, you've got a traditional main dining room, you've got 2 buffets, and you've got familiar specialty venues such as Crown Grill and Sabatini's. And a very pink looking outlet right up high at the aft, that's called Love by Brito. We tried that out. This restaurant celebrates all things romantic. Think Mills and Boon. Everything has hearts. And I tell you what, we do highly rate the fast food outlets here on this widened promenade deck. Lots of space here, and I have to say, serving some of the best fast food, pizzas, burgers and fries we've had on any ship at sea. Now, my wife, Mrs. Ritzy, she normally has cast iron resistance to fast food, but even she was lured in by their offering on quite a few occasions. Turning the spotlight to Holland America, and again, dependable is the word that comes to mind. The Rotterdam has a beautiful main dining room. It's quite contemporary. When you're there, it feels a little bit like you're inside Moby Dick. The structure feels like the whale bones wrapping all around you. It's quite the statement. It's a very nice venue, and the level of cuisine matches the look. It's consistent with good quality, and importantly, tables are well spaced out, and service is good. It's not slow, not drawn out. We also highly rate the buffet. Better than many other cruise lines you go on. Has a lot of variety. We enjoyed our time here in buffet. That's not the case on many cruise ships we go on to. And their specialty dining outlets are also well represented. There's the Asian, that's called Tamarind, which serves authentic fare. And their Pinnacle grill and Rudy's have been staples for years. Dining is reliable and refined. And that really sums up dining with the Rotterdam. It's not trying to reinvent anything, it's just quietly getting everything right. Now, the last of the ships we're going to look at in this dining section is from Cunard. For centuries, Cunard has been seen as the gold standard for ocean-going vessels. Its history is longer than anyone else standing, and a couple of years ago we put out a video showcasing the history of Cunard and how its dining used to be.
Here must be every tantalizing tidbit that ever tempted a traveler's taste.
If you haven't seen that video, please do look at it after this. I'll leave the links down in the description, because it's a fascinating snapshot of the golden years of cruising and how Cunard used to be at the top of this pyramid. Sadly, in recent years, it's difficult to say this is still the case with Cunard. It can be good, but it's so variable. Let me show you what I mean with the Cunard Queen Anne. Let's take the main dining room, the Britannia. Across all of their Cunard fleet, the Britannia is the one that everybody wants to see because they are showstoppers. Here, this is when we were on the Queen Mary 2. Beautiful, stunning. Also, the Queen Elizabeth, one of the most beautiful main dining rooms at sea. Glorious sweeping lines. It has status, it has class, it has presence. When you go into Cunard's main dining rooms, you stop to admire, you smile, you take a photo. That's everyone's natural reaction. Even on the Queen Anne, which is their most modern version, their latest ship, no, it's not quite the Art Deco masterpiece, but it's still a very impressive venue. It's still an eye-catcher. So the cuisine needs to match. Sadly, it only partly does. When Cunard holds its gala evenings, which is twice per week, these are their formal affairs, the cuisine does step up. It is very good on those gala evenings. Sadly, other evenings it can be very hit and miss. The buffet is okay. In fact, here on the Queen Anne, it's less a buffet and more this food hall setup, which some other cruise lines are now starting to move to. Good news though, with speciality outlets, finally Cunard is introducing more. They've always lagged on this front compared to other cruise lines with less speciality. Here we enjoyed ajiwa. This is their Japanese. We had a nice authentic meal here. You pay per dish for this outlet. There's also Sir Samuel's, which is their steakhouse, nicely decorated, got a great view of the aft. They have an Indian, that's called Aranya, as well as an Italian. So way more options than previous Cunard ships. They also have a wellness cafe overlooking the pool. So Cunard is making steps to bring more variety. Let's now look at the scoreboard for dining. Here we go. Quite a bit of variation. Now let me give you some of the reasons for the score. Celebrity would have been much higher than this, but their specialty restaurants are far too high, much higher than industry standard. That dragged down their score, but the 4 main dining rooms and the buffet are excellent. Cunard, I wish I could score it better than this, but in all honesty and fairness, I can't. Their old favourites are still there, still got the Golden Lion pub, but the main dining room is inconsistent. Now Virgin, their cuisine is excellent. Why not a 10? I almost gave it a 10, but then you have to think why I didn't, because they don't have a main dining room. Why is that important? Why does that matter? Well, because on any ship, any cruise line, a main dining room guarantees you an evening meal. Speciality is supposed to fill in the gaps. Well, Virgin only has speciality dining room. So if there's no guaranteed spot, you better be sure you can get into them. Sadly, that's not the case. You can't guarantee you're going to get into any of those other dining rooms. Reservations open up for booking before you sail, but the booking slot depends on your grade of cabin. The more expensive cabin you've booked, the more in advance they allow you to pre-book, so it goes right down the rankings. If you have one of the cheaper cabin grades, you have a tiny window of opportunity to book all those restaurants. A lot of people don't successfully book them, or if they do, just 1, 2, or 3. Trying to get all or several of those speciality dining rooms booked if you have a lower grade of cabin can be a really tough job, trust me. So Virgin, fantastic dining if you can get in. Star Princess is dependable, very nearly a 9, but just lacks that standout factor, whereas Holland America did get a 9. It's quietly excellent, consistently good, and very hard to fault. Still to come, those two very important categories and our final verdict, but we haven't talked about cabins yet. That is equally important. Let's look at that now. Let's start with the most controversial cabin of the lot. For some, this could be a deal breaker. Let's take you aboard Celebrity Ascent and their Edge class. And what have we got here? Their infamous Infinite Veranda. If there's one subject that gets more cabin talk online than any other, it's this. Why the controversy? Well, because strictly speaking, it's not a true balcony. Let me show you what I mean. When you first walk in, your initial thought is this is nice, it's spacious, everything is here, until you realise the balcony isn't there. It's been replaced by a window. It's very much like an automatic window in a car. Now, a few other cruise lines are also doing this, but it doesn't make it any less controversial. Where the balcony was supposed to be, they've incorporated this into the total internal square footage. In effect, it becomes a glass-enclosed sunroom. Yes, it does make the room feel bigger, in fact 23% bigger, but you're not truly outside anymore. If you want that sea breeze, you have to press that button and the glass winds down. Now, this is quite nice in the early morning or if you have a cool evening. But here's the catch, the moment that window comes down, the aircon cuts off automatically. You cannot override that. If you're sailing in a hot or humid climate, the room can get hot very fast. In reality, this then becomes a part-time window. It's used for a few minutes at dawn or dusk, but rarely for the full day. The rest of the cabin is nice, it's well equipped, the bathroom is spacious, all of those features are fine, but you have to decide if you can live with this concept of this window, this infinite veranda. For us, we didn't mind it. I personally can go either way. Mrs. Ritzy actually really loves these infinite verandas, she does. So your mileage may vary. Quick tip, there are a handful of traditional walkout balconies on an Edge class ship, but they are rare. If you want one of these traditional balconies, you're going to have to book early because there aren't that many on the ship, but they are there. Right, let's now look at Holland America. If Celebrity has gone high-tech, Rotterdam is a masterclass on sensible high-end design. The highlight for us is the layout and the storage. If you're an overpacker, this is your ship. The wardrobes are generally vast. There's a place for everything, much more space than others in this group. Everything in here is practical, it's well thought out, and it's sturdy. That's the Dutch way, sturdy. TV's in the right place, everything's got a logical layout, they have nice bathrooms with a premium feel. And there's plenty of height under the shower, the Dutch are tall, and it has good water pressure. It feels a bit like being in a high-end Marriott. The cabins here aren't edgy, but they are very functional. The space just works. So far, we've had cabins that are either edgy or high-tech. Let's see how Virgin is handling this. Here's the joker of the pack. Now, if you want to know what Virgin cabins are famous for, and they want all the influencers to show you first, it's their balconies. Specifically, they want you to see their hammocks. You'll see photo after photo of these online. Yes, they are a good vibe, But is a hammock really the top priority for you when you book a cabin? You tell me, or is it just a clever selling gimmick? You have to decide what you think it is. The cabins themselves are reasonably spacious, though truth be told, they're a little bit Spartan. Some might call them a little sparse. Are these actually the IKEA cabins of the sea? It's got that sort of vibe. Everything is a little bit quirky, it's certainly minimalist, and there's lots of red. And in a nod to 70s shabby chic, take a look at the wardrobe. Well, actually, should I say take a look at the hanging rail, because there's no doors and very little in the way of drawers or shelves. The bathrooms are fine, though some of them can lean towards the small side. Now, another aspect the Virgin cabins are famous for is their tech, because you get an iPad-style controller that runs everything. Oh yes, I spent an hour or two going through all of this. These are smart rooms here on Virgin. You can control the mood, the lighting, the 4K TV. You can even open or close the curtains from the tablet. Now, if you want to splash the cash on Virgin, they do have some funky, higher-priced cabin options, a variety of what they call Rockstar suites. It's a bit like checking into the Hard Rock Hotel, but at sea. They kit these out like you're an aging rock star. The old turntables, stocked minibar, and then there's their famous peekaboo showers, where people can see both in and out. You can't be shy to use these bathrooms. So, our verdict, yes, the room is fun, it's high-tech, but it's also Spartan, and you have hammock. It's a complete mix-up. It's the least traditional cabin on our list by a mile. Okay, let's go to Star Princess. You'd think they'd be a bit more conventional. Let's see. It all looks fine. It's all very practical. It's well laid out. And Princess are famous for what? Well, their beds and their mattresses. It's the Princess luxury bed, and in our opinion, it's still one of the most comfortable at sea. If you want that sleeping on a cloud feeling, Princess probably still holds the crown with Holland America. Now, on this particular cruise with the Star, we were in two different cabin types. Initially, we were in what they call a cove balcony. Other lines call this sheltered, and then we moved to a traditional balcony. Both cabins are nice. The bathroom is good. It's well laid out. It's got that casual luxury feel to it. We like the bathrooms here, no problems whatsoever. Overall, we give a thumbs up to the cabin, but with one proviso, that cove cabin, we did have a problem, and I'm going to tell you about that in the relevant section later on, and it might well affect whether you book one of those cabins or not. Before that, let's go and look at Cunard. What about their cabins? We've actually tried two different cabin categories on the Queen Anne, and there was quite a big contrast. First up, we were on a summer cruise to the Norwegian fjords. On that occasion, we had an inside cabin. And to be honest, Mrs. Ritzy and I ended up in hysterics.
Smallest cabin.
Yes.
In the newest ship.
Yes.
So the contrast, we shall see.
All right, here we go. Cabin 1114.
It's a bit tight.
It is a bit tiny, isn't it? Tiny or tight, did you say?
You better not eat too much.
It's probably the smallest inside cabin we have ever come across on any cruise line. It was almost comically small.
Have you got a cat to see if you can swing it? Because I think you need one as a point of reference. Yes?
Very important.
Yes. It's a half-size bottle to go with a half-size cabin. I'm just going to come out and go back in again because I want to show this. Look, okay, here we go. In the door. I don't think I've ever been in a ship where the first thing you do is you bump the door against the bed. I mean, that literally, that is the clearance. Look, there, look, see, look. There, look.
You have 4 inches before you hit the bed.
You have 4 inches between the door and the bed.
For starters, you could barely close the door. Then if you did actually manage to get that door shut, moving around the bed was somewhat like a comedy sketch. This cabin is seriously smaller than anything we've encountered on other comparable cruise lines. The colour scheme is fine, the finishes are quite premium, but the space, well, you seriously got to try it for yourself one day if you want a bit of fun. The second time we were on the Queen Anne, we were in a Britannia balcony. Now this is a much more standard configuration, no complaints, everything where it should be. Socketry and electrics is up to spec for a modern ship, and the bathrooms are fine. Cunard still knows how to do the welcome right. You'll get a complimentary mini bottle of sparkling wine waiting for you. If you like the traditional historical feel of cruising, this is possibly the most classical cabin of the ones we're looking at today. Incidentally, just to remind you that every ship we're showing you here today on this video across the categories, we have full reviews in full of all of these ships on our channel, because we're just showing little snippets, little sections of each ship now. After this, go back and watch the full versions of all of these cruise ships, because you'll find that quite enlightening and quite helpful. I've left the description down in the box below for you to go and look at those in full and at leisure. Right, let's rank the cabins. And for the first time, we see the Celebrity Ascent, in fact the whole Edge class, including their new Xcel, take a slight dip. The reason why we've marked it down, well, you've guessed it, is because of that infinite veranda cabin. It's hugely polarizing. People either love it or really don't. That score does pull it down a little. No, you don't have to book that infinite veranda, which is why we haven't given it a 5 or a 6 rating, but those are the vast majority on the ship. That's what most cabins are, is these infinite balcony. You're gonna have to book early to get something else. As for the other scores, the Queen Anne, largely down to those inside cabins. Now again, I know everybody doesn't book them, but we do have to consider the full range. A lot of people who watch these videos are booking inside cabins. Virgin, why didn't that score better? Well, the finishing is slightly more basic than you might expect at this level. It's not quite as premium feeling as some of the others in the group. But Rotterdam takes this particular category. It's consistent, it's well thought out, well, just quietly gets everything right. Okay, now we've come to one of the most important sections of the entire video. What's life aboard like? Who does each ship best suit? And this really does deserve serious attention, because it's not just about the best, it's about individual characteristics and matching them to you. But which one should you book and why? And one of the first considerations is, who are your fellow passengers going to be? Who else are you sharing that ship with? Because you want to find like-minded passengers. This part doesn't often get talked about. Many creators completely miss out this aspect. But in every video we make, we do try to show you life aboard the ship with real people on board, so you can check if they're on the same wavelength, because if they are, then everything clicks so much better. Okay, let's start with Celebrity, a line that for many defines what modern premium cruising should be like. Families are welcome, but the ship leans towards couples, solo travelers, and groups who appreciate polish without feeling stuffy. The crowd is a bit younger than Cunard, Princess, or Holland America, mostly professionals and in their 40s to 60s. Overall, Celebrity does set the benchmark for passengers who want contemporary with some nice design and a crowd that matches this vibe. Next up, who are your fellow passengers likely to be on the Holland America Rotterdam? Well, this ship does radiate classic with an understated elegance. It's good for a crowd that appreciates timeless style over flash. It's mostly couples, retirees, and seasoned travelers. Now, the typical age aboard will be older than both Celebrity and Virgin. Decks are generous, and there's plenty of quiet nooks for reading, such as here, the observation lounge. It's a beautiful room. It's a great relaxation space. Service is polished. If you enjoy structured, relaxed cruising, Holland America could be a very good choice for you. How about Princess and the Star? It's a bridge between classic and contemporary. The crowd is a mix of couples and families and multi-generational groups. It does skew a little bit younger than Holland America, but passengers are generally mature. There's plenty of casual dining options, and activities are spread out so you never feel crowded. Let's think of Star Princess as being dependable, approachable, but a little bit versatile. Now, Cunard is a little bit in a league of its own. Queen Anne's vibe is formal elegance. Passengers are typically older, well-travelled, and those who certainly like dressing up for gala nights. This is where the golden age of cruising still feels alive. It's very much designed for those who appreciate history, tradition, and want things at a slower, more curated pace. Finally, who are your fellow passengers on Virgin? Well, of course, totally different from all of the other 4. This ship is playful and built for social energy. Now, the age group is surprisingly varied. You've got younger and older. It's mixed. You will see several younger crowds, those who are going away for celebration, several solo travelers. It's all an interactive experience. Decks are designed for mingling and people watching. Lounges are quirky and colourful. It's far less formal, far less traditional than the others, and definitely not for those who want predictability. But if you want to meet passengers in a slightly edgy, slightly vibey space, this is the ship for you. It is premium cruising, but definitely with a party twist. Shall we now come to our overall verdict and conclusion? Alright, we've sailed, scored and scrutinised every corner of all 5 of these ships. We're about to look at the final numbers, but before we do, it's important to analyse them for context. Because the scores are always only going to be part of the story, because as we say, it's all about matching your personality with the cruise line. That little proviso out of the way, let's look at the scoreboard. If you've been adding up as you go, I don't know, did you have a calculator on your lap? If you have been adding up, you'll know what the final score is. Here it is. You'll notice we have a joint winner, Celebrity and Holland America. Virgin and Princess sit in the middle, and Cunard rounds out the list. But hold on, before you get disappointed or before you say, wow, I must whip out my credit card and book, depending on the number you saw, let's just emphasize some really important points. I'm going to come back to Cunard at the bottom of this list in just a moment, because I do have an explanation for this. First up, Celebrity Ascent. The final score does match our personal opinion. We really do feel these Edge class are consummate all-rounders. They're getting almost everything right and failing on very few facts. Now, we have spoken to several people who say, well, we are Celebrity fans. The Edge class is a little bit too modern for us. This is the beauty of any of the ships the cruise lines we're covering today. These new flagships are the modern version of what the cruise lines want you to go and book. But of course, you can book any of the other older ships in the cruise line, and some of these are getting a lot of renovations. They're being updated, they're being modernized. So although these are the flagships, you can always go and book some of the other lines. But actually, for us, we do think the Edge class is the best for Celebrity, but we're fully aware that some people don't agree. Let's look at some of the other ships. Now, Holland America scoring quite high might surprise a few people, because the traditional perception, the traditional image of Holland America, well, that's only for old people. That's only for people who are at the end of their cruising life. And this is why these new Pinnacle class ships that Holland America brought out are really very clever. If you're not aware, there are 3 ships in the Pinnacle class. You have the Rotterdam, we just showed you here. There's also the new Statendam and the Koningsdam. These are almost identical to each other. Now, what they've done with these Pinnacle cars is take the features people like from the older style Holland America ships, brought in some modern elements and given you a combined style of ship, and I think they've done an excellent job with them. Now, there's only 2,600 maximum passengers on the Holland America, Rotterdam and the Pinnacle class ships. Compare that actually to these new Sphere class Princess. They have 4,600 passengers. That's almost double, not quite, but almost double. That's a lot more people on the new Princess ships. The star, by default, is falling into the center ground. It's done nothing particularly wrong. Let's call this ship the winner of average. It's right in the center. It's not getting anything wrong. Let's call it the average ship in this group. Now, a quick point to cover. Earlier on, I said we had a problem with one of our cabins. Yes, we did. We were initially booked on what they call the Cove cabin. That's a sheltered balcony. Now, the problem we had was being right here under this goldfish bowl, what they call the Sphere. At night, we found it incredibly noisy. We couldn't get to sleep. Why? Because inside that Sphere, directly above our head, is where all the entertainment, that central atrium is. And in fact, not just us, several of the cabins either side are going to have the same issue. I believe you are going to be affected by noise. Thankfully, they had availability and we switched to a cabin at the other end of the ship. This cabin category is nice. So that's Mr. Average for you, Mrs. Average, Princess Cruise Lines. Now, how about Mr. or Miss Quirky? Well, that's Virgin. They scored the same as Princess, but for different reasons. They are the polar opposite of traditional. They are the extroverts of the cruise industry. If you want to party, want to let your hair down, go hell for leather, this is the cruise line for you. Plus, they scored right at the top of our leagues for their dining. It's excellent. But there are some downsides to Virgin. They recently adjusted their pricing. Gratuities are no longer included in the fare. It's now additional. And there have been some other changes, such as how you book the restaurants. It's not so easy to get into them anymore. Also, you have to realise Virgin is the only one that doesn't have an indoor covered pool. These are much better suited to be warm climate ships. Now, they're sending Brilliant Lady to Alaska. Let's see how that one goes. It's the first season about to come up. Okay, finally on to Cunard. Do we think their score is fair? Is it valid? In fact, you might wonder why it's not higher on our list. Now, this might come as a surprise to you to see them down there, because here at the Ritzy Travel Guide, we are traditionally big fans of Cunard. Do we not like Cunard anymore? Well, absolutely yes, we do. In fact, we've got 2 sailings on Cunard coming up later this year, but not on the Queen Anne. Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the ship. She's a fine vessel. They have introduced more specialty dining, more entertainment options. The ship is spacious, it's well laid out, there's some great parts to it. It's just that we prefer the other 3 older Cunard ships. Had we been rating the other 3 Cunard ships in this particular video, such as the Queen Mary or Queen Elizabeth or Victoria, then the score might have been like this instead. Cunard right at the top, along with the Celebrity and Rotterdam. Because for us, it's not just about the food. In fact, we said earlier on, the Cunard food isn't as good as it used to be. For us, the essence of Cunard is the experience. It's the atmosphere aboard. It's how it makes you feel. You are reliving the golden days of the 1950s, which was that magical period of ship. You are reliving the golden days of the 1950s, which was that magical period of ship history when liners were at their best, at their heyday. Yes, it might be a bit escapist imagining you're back in the 50s, but you don't want every cruise line, every ship in the world to be the same. They should each have their own unique character. And for Cunard, reliving the golden age of the 1950s is what they're about. That's their reason. On this very subject about Cunard, in a few months' time, I will be bringing out a dedicated comparison video going through all 4 of the current Cunard ships, highlighting the various features, the aspects we think are special, finding the one that's best matched to you. Now, just before we go, quite rightly, you might be saying, hang on a minute, in the cruise sector, this premium sector, there's another cruise line you haven't even mentioned. That is Disney. Now, yes, they are premium, but they're of a slightly different type. They're almost a hybrid, a crossover from the sector that's called family cruising or resort style cruising or theme park cruising, because they've got half a foot in that as well as premium. Now, there's another reason I haven't included them in this video, is because we're about to go on Disney very shortly. They have a brand new ship called the Adventure, just been launched. It's sailing out of Singapore. Now, you might be saying, why on earth are we covering that ship? Well, for 2 reasons. Firstly, because it's covering this new Asian element. Asia is now becoming much more popular as a cruise destination. And secondly, a lot of you watching this have children, you have grandchildren who also might want to go on a cruise ship, and you're thinking, all right, do I need to book a cruise with the grandchildren, with the children, and is this the right one? You might be curious to know whether you could put up with Disney, whether you'd love Disney. When I say put up, would you like it? That's what we want to test out. So in effect, we're being a guinea pig. We're taking one for the team. Now, do remember to be subscribed to our channel so you know when that video comes out. You can see what happens to us. Subscription is free, it doesn't cost anything, but just keeps you in the loop. Meantime, don't forget that every single ship we've covered here today, we have that dedicated video. I've left all of the links down in the description. And I've gone all modern. I've put up a QR code on the screen. If you press that now with your mobile phone, it will take you directly to those playlists, to those reviews. You can see for yourself. I've also placed all the links down in the description. You can access them that way. And we have over 80 cruise videos on our channel covering all manner of ships, from budget up to luxury. There's something on that list for everyone, as well as some ports of call itinerary suggestions for you. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us on the Ritzy Travel Guide. In the meantime, whilst waiting for these latest videos, have a look at this one here. It's possibly one you haven't seen yet, and we'll see you in that right now.